This was just such an unexpected delight to finish out the month on, and I had so much fun with this book. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to be talking about Dragon Champion by E.E. Knight, which is the first book in the Age of Fire. And this was, for the readathon, I read it by random pick and got this one. And I had done the first chapter of this one, but then I had kind of forgotten that I needed to get to it. And so it worked out well as something to jump into. And I am so glad I did, because I had so much fun with this one. So this does have, the dragon is the POV character. And the book starts with the dragon being hatched. We see immediately with dragon, it fights its sibling to be the dominant one, and that's the Dragon Champion. And that's literally where the name of the book comes from, but there's a lot more to it as well. So already, I'm a sucker for the dragon being the POV character. The author also in the introduction notes that one of the reasons they wrote this is because when they were younger, they felt that there weren't enough books with dinosaurs, and I felt that so much. I love dinosaurs still to this day, and so I really enjoyed that little note as well. So it's dragons, it's not quite dinosaurs, but still made it a lot of fun. And this is then the dragon ends up, after some tragedy strikes, goes off and on its own, and has to then explore the world and go out on their own. So our dragon Auron, which there's also a note about how the pronunciation of dragon names does change once they first breathe fire. And we also get some bits about like dragons when they first fly, when they first breathe fire, that type of thing, and a lot of cool descriptions there. So there's a lot of cool stuff there, but it's also not, because at first I'm thinking like, oh, maybe this is going to be a little bit younger reading, which I don't think I would have minded here, but it feels more like it's just kind of like an all ages type of thing, because there's definitely some violence, because very early on, the dragons go hunting and kill a human, and I'm just like, okay, so maybe it's not going to be super young reading, but it also takes place over a fair amount of time, with the dragon growing. And I will say, for me, especially the earlier parts where it's like the dragon figuring out how the world works, because they end up, he ends up off on his own, meeting all kinds of different people. We are in a world where there are dwarves and elves and men, and we have quite a lot of lore set up as well. There are also other humanoid creatures as well, and we find out that the dragons used to be the kings, the top of the food chain there, but more and more they're being hunted by the humanoid species, and that's kind of something set up. But see Auron that goes out and is going on his adventures, and some of the things some of them were a little bit silly lines, but still one of the lines that sticks out the most because it just made me laugh. It was just my kind of humor. There's a point where he's talking to somebody and they say he has no sense of humor, and he's offended, and he's like, no, I'm a dragon. We have really strong senses. And the person's like, you just don't get it. And so then they tell a joke, and they think it's really funny. And then the dragon is like kind of like trying to sniff and like taste the air, because they're trying to smell the humor to figure it out. And it was a silly joke, but it just kind of worked. And so those kinds of things, just seeing the dragon trying to figure things out, not really fully understanding things, I had a really fun time with. And it's just having a dragon main character, some of the situations and scenarios that you can put them in makes for a lot of fun. But then I wasn't expecting it to actually build out and have time pass, have a lot more going on, have a much more overarching plot going on in this world as well. Which it makes sense, because this is part of a series, and so I went from like, this is so much fun, to like, this is actually pretty interesting with what's going to be on here. And this was just so easy to read and get through. I did pretty much the whole book in one day, and I was switching between the physical and the audio for it, and I had no problem getting through. I had so much fun with this. The audio is included on Audible, like their catalog, the Plus catalog as well, I will note, because that worked out, made it really easy there. So I'll definitely be continuing and listening or reading more. I don't have physical books of the others, I just have this one, because I'm pretty sure I randomly got this on Book Outlet, just because it was about dragons and it seemed like fun. And it was fun, but it's good. So I'll have to keep an eye out for the other books in this series, and maybe do audio otherwise if I want to continue sooner. But just a really fun series that also, like I said, does a bit more than I was expecting to, because I could have read this. This could have just been fun dragon stuff. That would have been fine with me, like no complaints. But I think the fact that it also does do a fair amount of character building, sets up a fair amount of lore as well, and has a bigger plot, has bigger things going on, has, there's a recurring villain, and there's a bigger thing being set up where there's, group that's trying to like take over everything. Like there's a lot more complex themes there as well as just a lot of dragon fun. And so I think it just overall was really successful, and I had a really fun time with this. So I'm very curious to read more of this. This author does have apparently lots of other books that are some sorts of creatures, but the dragon one, I just feel like for me fit really well. If you like me, just like just the idea of a dragon POV character sounds like fun. It is fun, and I definitely recommend you check this out as well. And I think anybody that's looking for a light, easy read, this is a good fit on. This isn't something that reads super young or like feels like it's just too basic. Like I said, it does actually add in some good complex elements as well, but it's also just a lot of fun. And that's kind of what I needed when I read this. After this was one of my last books. I think actually it is the one I finished last, because I did an ebook at the same time at one point. But one of my last books, and when you're finishing up a readathon month where you're reading 20 books, something light and fun like this, just easy to read and really enjoyable and quick paced. It was perfect. So I had a really fun time with it. So definitely recommend this out. That if any of that sounded interesting to you, there's a lot to enjoy here. So those really though are my thoughts on Dragon Champion by E.E. Knight. Let me know if you read this and if you disagree with anything on what I said here, and if you've read the other books as well. If they're still really good, if they're comparable, or if they get better or worse, that kind of thing. Always interested to hear what people think there. But that's it for this one, so make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description, as always, for the Wizard of the Enclave Discord if you want to chat books, whether this book, other books, really anything at all. It's a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.